You're watching France 24's Access Asia. I'm Molly Hall. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Toxic tanneries in India. We explore the country's safety standards in its booming leather industry. And saving the Great Wall of China, bad weather and an excess of visitors are making the ancient site disappear. Plus, conservation efforts in Australia lead to a veritable koala haven. But first, India is the second largest producer of footwear and leather garments in the world. And while business is booming, health and safety standards are not necessarily improving. Over 2.5 million people work in the leather industry, and many use toxic materials on a daily basis, with little to no protection. Our Josh Vardy has more.
Inside this cramped workplace, around 200 shoemakers are busy constructing leather shoes. They're here for around 10 hours a day, cutting, sewing and gluing in a room with no windows and where the temperature frequently hits 45 degrees centigrade. The owner says that his factory has been in his family for 3 generations.
Okay, you sew and you clean, all right? Good.
The business is going well, with plenty of contracts from all over the world.
This is Bukharo going to Middle East. This is Zara and this is Tix. This brand particularly we are sending to France for Carrefour, this brand, and we are doing really good business with Carrefour nowadays.
The owner sells each pair of shoes for around €2. The tight margins mean that his workers are paid little, roughly 10 cents per piece. Not all of them are at a legal working age.
You don't take this boy in the garden because he is less than 18.
Due to the cameras, the boss has told some of his employees not to let themselves be filmed, making interviews about their working conditions impossible in his presence. Most of the leather produced in India comes from Kanpur, apart from Delhi, the largest industrial city in the country's north. Kanpur sits on the banks of the river Ganges and has roughly 400 leather tanneries. Half of everything they produce goes to Europe. Hundreds of barrels of chemical products are racked up outside, essential ingredients in the messy tanning process. Among them, extremely dangerous chemicals like sulfuric acid, formic acid, chrome, even some arsenic. Inside the tanneries, employees work closely with all of these products. In between the animal skins, bloated due to the chrome. Very few of them have access to protective clothing to shield them from their toxic surroundings. The boss says they're just used to it.
We didn't notice anything out of any workers. Means most of these are like working in tanneries from last 20 years, so they does not have any complaint and all that.
Despite the boss's claims, the workers have many health issues. They say they get frequent eye infections and skin allergies, among other problems.
There's acid in this water, but worse is when they add another chemical product which gives us fungal infections.
Constant exposure to dangerous substances increases the risk of people here developing cancer.
When the truck delivers the chalk, we clear it out. The dust goes everywhere and we breathe it in, and due to that we have stomach and digestion problems.
The animal skins being treated here are destined to be used by well-known US labels like Tommy Hilfiger and Abercrombie. In total, over 2.5 million people work in the leather industry in India. That's not counting those working outside the tanneries, collecting the industrial waste in order to make agricultural fertilizer in these large furnaces. These people are the most exposed to the toxic chemicals and suffer the worst effects. Rakesh Jaswal set up an organization 20 years ago to alert local authorities to the problem, but they've done nothing.
Most of the leather products are exported to foreign countries, rich countries, and they are the forex earner, so they are the darling of the government, and rarely government takes action against them.
When they have no further use, most of these highly toxic and dangerous chemicals are washed into the river Ganges. Every day, 500 million litres of contaminated water ends up in the river. Ganges water is used in nearby fields in order to grow fruit and vegetables, which are then eaten by millions of people across the region.
Next, it's one of the world's most famous and fragile architectural sites. The Great Wall of China was built to protect against invaders, but now it needs protection. Bad weather and trampling tourists are causing the ancient stone fortification to crumble.
The Great Wall of China is still man's longest construction project, with some parts of it over 2,000 years old. It remains one of the world's leading tourist attractions.
It's something you only get to do once in your life. We've been talking about it for 20 years, and so we've done it.
When you come to China, what's the first thing that comes to mind as the Great Wall?
It's the seventh wonder of the world, and we're proud of it.
The wall's existence, though, is under threat. Off the tourist trail, the wall is but a shadow of its former self, and in some places just a pile of rocks. Most of the existing wall was built during China's Ming dynasty. In total, it stretches over 6,200 kilometers from the sea to the desert. Built mainly for protective and trade purposes to keep out invaders and regulate the Silk Road, the wall itself now needs to be protected, not from hordes of barbarians, but hordes of tourists. Visitors sometimes carve words into the wall, others steal rocks or even destroy parts of it for fun. Under constant assault from humans as much as time, archaeologists and other specialists are now sounding the alarm. They say the wall is in great danger.
According to our estimates, 1/3 of the wall, around 2,200 kilometers, has already disappeared. In some places, you can't even tell it was there. It's time to act.
Today, only around 10% of the wall is considered to be in good shape, but in other places, like where this photograph was taken 100 years ago, it's simply vanished. The struggle facing conservationists is to maintain the wall, with very few resources available. Chan Roshan lives at the foot of the wall 300 kilometers from Beijing and works to preserve it using only his simple tools.
These roots cause fissures in the rocks and threaten to make cracks appear in the wall. Normally we would wait for the government to do this work. I don't receive any money to do this. I just volunteer.
Many others are needed to work on the wall if it is to be saved, but at least Chan Roshan gets recognition for his labours. Awareness of the wall's plight appears to be picking up elsewhere too. Now, for the first time in China, an appeal has been launched online for €1 million to restore 500 metres of the wall.
Next, when you think of Australian wildlife, one furry friend often comes to mind, the koala. Well, for decades, it was legal to hunt the marsupial and sell its fur. That put the population in danger. Our Joanna Cockrell tells us how conservation efforts have led to one Australian island becoming a veritable koala haven.
Hidden amongst the lakes in eastern Australia lies a 6-kilometre-long island where the koala is king. But that wasn't always the case. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, koalas were hunted for their fur, a successful global trade that decimated the population. The Australian government introduced a series of conservation measures, and in 1953, 32 koalas were relocated and released onto Raymond Island, where they thrived.
There are two more. On this side you can see the face a little bit.
These German tourists, like many others, are here just to see the marsupials.
We want to catch them and cuddle. I think they are so fluffy.
With no natural predator and an abundance of eucalyptus, the koala population has boomed here. They now outnumber the locals. But it's not all good news. Photographer Andrew Bald was born on the island and has witnessed firsthand the effect the koalas have had.
I've seen the landscape change. It was pristine managum forest area, and basically the koalas have taken out probably 75% of the trees. This one here is typical overbrowsing, where the canopy, or what we call the top of the tree. With koalas, if they can't reach the outer branch, when they're feeding, they'll break the branch back to feed, and the branch will just break off and fall to the ground.
Many trees have lost all their leaves, and in parts the forest is destroyed. The race is now on to protect the eucalyptus trees. Barriers have been put in place, and there are efforts to curb the koala population. One such initiative involves catching and releasing koalas into other parts of Australia, a technique that, as Raymond Island shows, can sometimes be a little too successful.
Finally, now we'll leave you with a glimpse of Cambodia's first high-end canine restaurant. Edgar Allan Poe features a menu made for dogs, not from them. Commonly referred to as special meat, dogs are a popular snack in the country, and the restaurant aims to show how attitudes are changing towards the animal. Thanks for joining us here on Access Asia. We'll see you again next time.